Hi everybody, welcome down to Bentham Golf Course. My name is Jamie Millar. I'm the teaching professional here. Today I've got a bit of a fun video for you. It's a little bit of a personal video. So this past season I went on a little bit of a journey for myself to try and gather a bit more club head speed. I mean, there's a lot of people doing it. I thought, why not try? I thought I could see if it helped my game. I wanted to see if I could do it, and also I wanted to see what I could learn that I could then pass on to people who I'm also teaching. So today we're going to cover a few things about what I did, whether it worked or not, and we'll see how we go from there, okay? Should be a good one. So pretty much everything I did was all about me and my swing technique. I didn't do any extreme gym work. I didn't do any changing of equipment. I've used pretty much the same driver and the same length driver the whole time. So all I did was change technique using various things I'd heard about and seen and learned, and put them into my swing to see what could help me and what hurt me. This way I thought I could learn how I could help you guys. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit 10 shots with my old technique and then another 10 with my new technique. I've got my flight scope set up here so I can capture the data. We'll have a quick look at it and talk through it, and then I can talk you through what I did to help me pick up a bit of club head speed, possibly, and what you can maybe do in your game. Let's do it. Right, that was warm work. So I've collected some data there with my old swing to my new power swing. I've got the data here on the iPad. I'll put it up on the screen so you can see it as well. So with my old swing, I was averaging 113 miles of club head speed with 169.8 miles of ball speed, so not too bad. That gave me a carry of around about 274 yards. Now, the new swing, my power swing, on the other hand, my club head speed jumped to 117.6 and the ball speed up to 175.8. Gave me a carry of 291.9 yards. So we're looking at 17 yards of difference in carry. Everything else stayed pretty much the same. My angle of attack went up slightly, very slightly. Height changed probably because of speed. Now, that's quite good actually, to be honest. The gain of 4.5 mile an hour club head speed gave me an extra 6 mile exactly of ball speed, which gave me around about 16 yards of extra carry. So I'm talking in carry distance because the run's going to change depending on the day. It could be middle of summer, middle of winter, into the wind, downwind, uphill, downhill will change in the end of run I get. So we're worried about carry. So I got an extra 17 yards of carry, which is massive. Okay, if you think about it, so I'm carrying it 17 yards further with my driver. I'm now, let's just say it's run out, for simple maths, it's run out 3 yards, so I've gone 20 yards further total. I'm now an extra 20 yards closer. That means for me, that's around about 2 clubs. So I'm now hitting an 8-iron instead of a 6-iron. But this doesn't just account for my change in driver distance. I'm now hitting an 8-iron further. So potentially that 8-iron is now a 9-iron. Okay, again, depending on the day and run out and conditions like that. But those are very promising. So should you have a look at how I did that and maybe how it can apply to your game?
Okay, so what you'll see here, I've got my old swing on the right-hand side and my new swing on the left-hand side. You'll notice that the waggle on the left-hand side is much more pronounced. That's my new swing. So what that allows me to do is shift my weight across to my right leg much earlier. We want to shift our weight across so we can use that weight shift to create force and power up and down into the ground in our swing. So that's what I'm trying to do here with that much more pronounced waggle. Yeah, if we go up to the top of the back swing on the left-hand side here, is the new swing. You'll notice that I've raised up, so my head is higher up than on the right-hand side. This is an effect of my left heel being raised off the ground. This has allowed me to move my center of mass up higher so that I can then drop it down further in the downswing, allowing me to create more force into the ground, which will then push me back out with more force. I've also got a larger hip turn. You can sort of see that if you look at my belt buckle on the left-hand side. What that does, having a bigger hip turn creates a larger circle in terms of my swing. So my swing is longer, even though it doesn't necessarily look longer. The swing is longer, which allows me more time to create more speed. So having that little bit extra hip turn, I can create more time to create more speed, which allows me to hit the ball further. All of that comes from just lifting my left heel off the ground, so that's really useful, and I do suggest people try that. Okay, let's take a look now at the first move down. Okay, so with the first move down, you notice that my left heel stomps back on the ground on the left-hand swing, the new swing, whereas I don't have that in my right-hand swing there. What this allows me to do, by the looks of it, is to create more ground reaction force. I'm pushing more force in the ground. Like I said, I was higher up in the backswing, so I'd unweighted slightly, taking my weight off the ground in the swing on the left. Stomping my left heel on the ground and on the downswing is allowing me to push more force into the ground. Now I can't measure that, but I can make an educated guess by what happens in the rest of the swing, as we'll see very shortly. As we approach impact here on the left-hand side, which is the new swing, you will see that my left leg is starting to straighten and push up. This is that ground reaction force that I was talking about earlier, where I pushed into the ground is now pushing me back out. This allows the club to get pushed, to be swung down and slingshotted, that's a word, out to the golf ball with hopefully a bit more speed. You can see on the right-hand side in the older swing, my left leg is still maintaining its flex, so I haven't been pushed out of the ground as much, which is where it's a bit why the swing is a bit slower, or one of the potential reasons why the swing is a bit slower. So just to illustrate the point of how much extra force I was able to create with lifting my left heel off the ground, you can see on the left-hand side, again, the new swing, my left foot has actually left the ground. So basically all that's touching the ground for me now is the toes on my right foot. Whereas you look at the screen on the right-hand side and you can see that I haven't really pushed off the ground anywhere near as much. Now, admittedly, the swing on the left is slightly further along. That's as close as I can get them to stop together with the camera that I had. So what can you take from this? Well, what I'll do is I'll just play my swing in full motion, side by side, and just quickly describe to you what you can take from that. Okay, so that really only changed two things my swing to increase my club head speed. First one was that more intense waggle, so getting my body to shift more and earlier, which allowed me then to shift my body in better ways, get my body weight more involved in the swing. The next thing I did was lift my left heel off the ground, which, as I mentioned, allowed me to raise my center of mass, which then in turn allows me to push more force into the ground to create more ground reaction force, which allows me to slingshot the club out to the golf ball with more speed. I would recommend for everyone to try these two things out. They're very simple. It does take a little bit of getting used to, and the sequencing / timing of it all is a little bit difficult when you're first starting, but as you can see, the payoff can be quite big. I mean, almost 20 yards of carry is a big gain, especially for someone who's been playing for as long as I have. And quite frankly, I'm excited about the future. All right. So let's jump back to the studio and I'll just talk you through the way I feel these movements and how I brought them into my swing. Okay.
I hope you enjoyed that slightly more technical look at my swing and the changes that I've made. The first thing you might notice between my old swing and my new swing is the slightly different waggle that I have. So what I've found is my old waggle, I used it to keep loose and to keep ready. I never like to be still over the golf ball. With my new waggle, there's a lot more pronounced side-to-side motion. The reason I do this is because I want to shift my center of mass across to my right leg as soon as possible. Okay, I believe that once we get the club to about parallel with the ground, we want all the weight that is supposed to have shifted to our right, all the weight that's going to shift to our right side to have shifted to our right side. From that point on, okay, the next thing you'll notice in my new swing is that my left heel starts to lift off the ground. And as my left heel lifts off the ground, the club starts to raise up. That brings my center of mass up. It also allows my arms to travel further. So the further these can travel, the more time they've got to create speed. It allows my hips to get slightly more turn in them. Okay, that's the second part of the new swing that you would have noticed. A slightly longer swing, in part because I'm getting my left heel off the ground, lifting my center of mass up as well. From that point there, all I'm trying to do is, I feel like I'm pulling down hard. It might have to be a different thought for yourself. Some people, when they pull hard, tend to throw the club out. For me, what that allowed me to do was push my left foot back down to the ground. That got my center of mass lower. Now, two things happen here. One is ground reaction forces, so I'm pushing to the ground, so the ground starts to push me back, which is why you see that jump, which is much more pronounced in my new swing. What I mean by little jump is you'll see my left foot push up and back. That's much more pronounced in the new swing. The other thing is a bit of human intuition. Generally speaking, if I'm dropping down like this, I can understand I'm going to smash the ground, so I'm also going to start pushing up. That's helping create a bit of extra speed that you're seeing in my swing. So those are three things I'd really like you to try and do. Never let yourself get still. And then when you swing back, let your left heel lift off the ground. Get your arms let your arms swing up as high and as far as possible to create that extra bit of time. And then on the way down, like I said, for me, I feel like I'm pulling down really hard. For most people, that does tend to throw the club out, so you need to find a feeling for you that works. That gets that left foot pushing back down to the ground so that the ground can push you back out and help you create an extra bit of speed. One thing to note, I'm not sure if it shows up in the data capture, is that I'm actually more accurate, or just as accurate, with the harder swing as I am with my normal swing. So even though I'm hitting it further and harder, I'm not necessarily harder, sorry, I'm hitting it further through better technique, better use of technique, and a change in intent, I'm also just as straight, if not slightly straighter. Okay? Find out what works for you. Have fun with it. That's the main thing. What I found with this was it made my golf really fun. It made it slightly easier because I was hitting less club into the green, sorry. And yeah, it was good to go on a journey. Try it out. Let me know how you go, and I'll see you all again soon. Bye.